What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you an update to Synchrons, but this time it is a 50 card build, and I'll explain as I go through it where the additional 10 cards are coming from, how you can cut them down depending on your budget access, and what the engine provides to it. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. It has been a very, very quiet past week, but I am looking to get back into recording videos and get more up here for you guys as always. So, we start off with triple Stardust Synchron. This, in my opinion, has kind of replaced, and specifically because of this build, the importance of junk Synchron, which I have cut down to 2. Now, before you switch off, spoiler, I am playing the Brave engine, which clashes massively with Junk Synchron. Now, the reason that I've put this deck into testing phases and the reason I'm trying to give it a go is for the pure fact that I felt that there was a lot of times where we had to try and play through Nibiru. We couldn't stop Nibiru outright. We put our opponent in a position where we weaken our own board, can still end on some decent plays. Off the back of that as well, the Brave package actually gives you access to a free level 4 and a free level 7 or a free level 3 should you want it. So I went with a 3, 2 and then a 1 of the Cyber Synchron for the main tuners of the deck. Now I did play another engine within the deck to provide me with more tuners. 1 Madam Spider, 1 Z Armin, and the 1 Punk Dangerous Gabu. Now, the Dangerous Gabu is just a really nice negate that if your opponent doesn't know what it does, it's really, really good. The back of that as well is the E-Telly. The way I saw this is if I open up right plus E-Telly, I can then summon out a Z Armin. Z Armin can pay 600 to give me another tuner, and then straight away through E-Telly plus 1200 life points technically, and Right of Armoricia, I've got my board with a level 4 token, a level 7 Griffin, and 2 tuners. So that would give me access to a Synchro level 7, which can be Yazi or Dawn Dragster if you wanted to go for it. It would also give me access to a level 10, which would be Baron. Off the back of that as well, I would also get a Punk Dangerous Gabu. So that's 3 cards, or 2 cards has led to 3 forms of interruption. If you wanted to adapt it otherwise, it could have been a Ghost Ogre, but Ghost Ogre on itself, apart from the fact that it was a hand trap, wouldn't lead me down the path of being able to gain more advantage. Keep in mind as well that even if you went E-Telly and you didn't want to use your normal summon on the Madam Spider, you wanted to use it on the Link, like Junk Synchron or something, you could actually E-Telly straight into and make the engine smaller, a Madam Spider, pay 600, get the Dangerous Gabu, and then your normal summon can be anything else that you want to. Of course, with the E-Telly engine, you can also look at the Assault Mode engine, which was something I wanted to do because that also then gives you the ability for 1-for-1, and stuff with 1-for-1 has more synergy with the Brave package as well. And then that would also give me greater advantage over adapting the levels of that tuner to kind of fit what I might need on the board. Continuing on as well, for our non-tuners, we've got the 1 Stardust Trail to go with your Stardust, of course. The triple Junk Converter. Now, I did run into a little bit of an issue with this, is that because I was playing a low count of tuners, it was a little bit harder for me to resolve the effect consistently. So that is something that I'm going to be looking into as well. Then, of course, we've got Doppel Warrior. It is what it is. It's such a good card. The fact that if a monster is summoned from the graveyard, you summon it down. That's one big negative that you lose off of the Junk Synchron not having its effect with the Brave engine. But it should be rare, which is why we're playing 2 of these, that you open up the Junk Synchron plus a route to the Brave engine. So you've kind of got to use it to your advantage where at all possible and kind of go from there. And then, of course, we've got the 3 extenders. So you've got your double Jester Conflict, and then off the back of that as well, you do also have, for me, personally, I went with 2 Calico Crow. Now, purely for the fact that this is a once per turn, Jester is not. But the idea is that Jester with Stardust is your speeder, and Calicrow with your junk is a speeder. So you want to be able to protect your speeder play, which is where the Brave package can come into as well. But you also kind of put your opponent in a position where, with the Brave package, you've got the ability to negate anything that might cause you issues. Or if it's not a major issue, and for example, let's say they try to imperm your Griffin, you go, that's fine because they're holding on to a Nibiru. you can normal summon a Junk Synchron or get into any of the punks, sync straight into a Baron. You've replaced your Omni Negate with another Omni Negate, and then your token becomes free fodder. So it can either be free Tribute fodder, or it can then be used as free level 4 fodder to make your level 8 Synchros. I'm going to tidy this up a little bit as well and then go through the rest of the monsters because we do play a couple more. And I'm going to show you the Brave engine last because it is like a relatively small, well not small engine, it's about an 8 card engine that you can adapt depending on your personal playstyle and if you have access to it or not. So in this particular build again, of course, we are playing the triple Acasta Dawnwalker and the Ant Acasta. Now what makes this so good as well is that you want to try and maintain as much advantage as possible, that when you're discarding the card, you're able to do a bit more off it, which is why the Water Enchantress is really important, because you discard that off of your Acasta. You've then basically said to your opponent, if you want to Ash this, I'm going to go for the Water Enchantress. If you don't Ash this, I'm going to be able to go into my level 8 Synchro, which can then be the Chaos Dragon, which will then excavate more cards, which can then help search me more capabilities as well. Then you do play a hefty lot of one-offs. So I went with the one Fairy Tale Snow, because it's a card that can be milled off of the Chaos Dragon, but it's also a card that can be added. It's a card that can be Foolish Burial, and it's just basically a free material that keeps coming back as a level 4. So as long as you've got a tuner, you can keep looping it around to get what you need. The one Synchron Carrier, I'm highly considering cutting this. Like, I cut this way before, and then put it back in for this one, and I never saw it, never wanted it. And personally, I don't think it's necessary, so highly considering getting rid of this. The one Hop Air Squadron, so rather than the free Caligo Crow, I was like, right, well, if I go through the route of play with Cupid Pitch, I can actually search out Hop Air Squadron, and then what that does is it means if my opponent Dark Rulers me, if my opponent attempts to evenly me or anything like that, my Hop Ear gives me the ability to Synchro Summon. So it means not only will they need to turn off my board once, but then I can Hop Air Squadron and go in either to a Stardust Charge Warrior, sorry, not a Charge, Satellite Warrior to blow up the board, or I can go into a Baron to give me an additional negate. The one Mare, saw it once, obviously led me to game. It puts a lot of work in, so it's the reason why you keep it. The only issue is that the only way you get to Mare is that you need to go through Yazi, and to go through Yazi, you need your opponent to either have already Nibiru'd you, or you need to be going second. And going second with this deck is a lot more difficult because, yes, you can play through a decent amount of interruptions, but if your opponent holds back the right cards at the right time, they will be able to break it. The one Destrudo, again, really nice discard fodder, really nice mill fodder off the Chaos Dragon, but you need to see it. Now, obviously, I don't want to see it in this particular deck because that's why it's a 50-card deck. I want to bury it as much as possible. If I wanted to cut this deck down but still maintain the Brave package, then Destrudo would be one on the chopping block. But it's just one of them ones that if you see it and you're not going into time, like this is easier side out in game 3 because you never want to use it. And then obviously the last engine that we do play is the Brave engine. Now I've cut this down to an 8-card engine. I kind of regret it once today because there was a time where I needed the third right. But the way this works is you want to be using the Water Enchantress. You want to see it as much as possible. You're either going to activate its effect, but more times than not, you want to use it as discard fodder off of the Acasta. You want to use it as mill fodder off of your Chaos Dragon, tribute fodder off of your Stardust in the graveyard effect. Anything like that to get it to the grave, then banish it, then get you right, and then go from there. So it's very rare that, like, when this engine goes off, you're pretty much protected. But it's rare because there's a lot of times that people have got Ash Blossoms, Ogres, anything, because they're prepared for this engine, that they stop it. One other really good thing as well, or well, good and bad thing, is your opponent will put Token Collector in. It had happened once to me today, but luckily when they dropped the Token Collector, I was still able to make my plays, I was still able to do what I needed to. And keep in mind as well that if you have a clear board, you can still special summon down the Griffin Rider, which is a free level 7 fodder. And like I said, that plus Junk Synchron or E-Telly gives you an instant Baron, which can then go, cool, pop the Token Collector, and then continue to make your plays. If you don't have access to this engine, because I know it is expensive, you can cut this deck down, go to a 42-card deck. It is entirely up to you. I've not really found... I'm using it less for the Omni Negate, because basically what you're trying to do is you put your opponent in a position where, right, you can't Nibiru me. If you do, I'm going to put the Griffin back. But once I get to a point where it's like, right, okay, I've done my speeder plays, I've done all the plays I need to make, I no longer need the Griffin, I'm going to upgrade it into a Baron or a Crystal Wing, you're good to rock and roll. Onto the spells, triple overtake. Now, obviously, this is going to be used more times than not to special summon the Junk Synchron. And why that becomes even more important is by special summoning the Junk Synchron, you can then normal summon a Doppel Warrior or a Junk Converter and then continue to make your plays from there. The best thing about that is you want to be able to chain block your speeder as much as possible, which can be very, very important. Triple tuning. Yes, you're probably going to be searching your junk Synchron off of this, but this just gives you the ability that if you don't open up the Brave Engine, you still need access to get to what is possibly your best normal summon. The only issue with the junk is the pure fact that you need a card in the graveyard. There was a couple of times today where I was like, right, I've got this play, but I've got no card in the graveyard to do it. Speaking of getting cards in the graveyard, Droplet is very good at doing that. The best thing about this as well is going second. If you activate evenly and they try to negate it, you can chain droplets, send the evenly, and then they pretty much lose their entire board, which is really, really cool. I would probably play 3 of this. I just need to get the third and put the third into the deck and go from there. And then we've got a raft of one-offs. We've got the 1 Stardust Illumination, the 1 Monster Reborn, the 1 Rotor, and then of course the 1 Foolish Burial. Now this can of course be Stardust, it can be Trail, it can be Snow, it can also be the War Enchantress. It can be Doppel Warrior, it could be Converter, it really depends, which is why this is actually really important for the deck as well. Now it is currently a 51 card deck. It can easily be cut to 50 if not lower if you want it to be. It is just something that I'm testing out and playing with. I took it to locals today, it did okay. Not as good as I would like it to be, but it wasn't so much bad performances. I just feel that I think in my last game, it was me. I played it really badly. But in my other game, I went 2-2. In the other game, my opponent just opened up like Nibiru plus Gamma for Crystal Wing. So it's like, yeah, all right, whatever. It wasn't that bad because I was still able to play through it because they did the Nibiru after I'd already drawn like 5 cards off of TG Librarian. And I still had Stardust in the grave. So he was holding back, waiting for my Stardust to use its effect. And then he would have nibbed and gammed me. But he kind of got to a point where it's like, right, well, I kind of have to get rid of it now. Moving on to the extra deck, of course, Baron is really, really good. Again, I know it's an expensive card. If you don't have access to this, and one card I'm highly wanting to put back in this deck is the Crocosaur. For the pure fact, there was a couple of times I was like, right, I've got access to a level 9, but I've got nothing to make. And these were at times where I was like, right, okay, well, I can make this level 9. I've already got a stacked hand, and my level 9 then becomes an interruption. It then becomes a draw. It gives me more that I might need in order to continue. The 1 Abyss Dragon is what it is. The 1 Chaos Dragon. 1 Omega. This is good because it can also put your Water Enchantress back into the graveyard. You can put your Stardust back into the graveyard and everything else that you need as well. The 1 Crystal Wing. Then of course we've got the 1 Yazi. The 1 Charge Warrior. Can be Coral Dragon. It really depends. As you kind of see through my play, I don't play as many tuners. So sometimes this being a tuner can be a little bit more important. But sometimes you need that draw before you're going to send it to the graveyard. Librarian. Speeder. Axel. And I really wish we didn't have to play this card, but you have to because of Overcharge. But you have to play this to reveal it for Junk Synchron. So, is what it is. And then, of course, you've got the 1 Herald, the 1 Cupid Pitch, the 1 Metal Marcher, and then the 1 Double Shaman. So, again, relatively straightforward. I think the extra deck, it always is the way it is. Trying to find a space for the Crocosaur, because it's a little bit niche, is a bit difficult. Like, sometimes you might consider taking the Omega out. But then there'll be times when you're like, I really wish I had a Mega to rip from the hand, or I really wish I had a Mega to recycle my stuff from the graveyard. So, if you don't have Baron, I would probably go for Crocosaur. The only issue is, again, you're still losing like Omni Negates. You need these Omni Negates because Crystal Wing's all well and good, but then all they need to do is activate Raigeki or Lightning Storm when Crystal Wing goes, ah, yeah, yikes, goodbye. So, it's really fun. I love Synchrons, which is why I've put these back together again. And I'm just playing around with different variations and different options that I can play around with to kind of see where I can take it. I've had a bit of fun with this today. I'm definitely going to look at updating it and trying different kind of routes and techniques. Like I said, I kind of want to, I think with the Brave package, you're better off using an E-Tele package, but I want to try and avoid this becoming a based deck. I want it to still have the heart and soul of Synchrons, but still provide a competitive edge in order to play through as much disruption as possible. And get the use out of the Brave package before Konami goes yeet and gets rid of that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.